Okay, we're starting the lunge now. And the first thing we want to do with the lunge, just like we did with the squat, is assist the movement. Now what Danielle's going to do is step out and basically use the resistance here in the functional trainer to help her out. Secondly, she's got a toe lift. That toe lift jacks her toe up just a little bit and causes her to bend her knee more appropriately, throws her into a little more dorsiflexion, increases proprioception, and gets the calf involved in the lunge. And that's one of the things we leave out of the lunge a lot of time. We don't have them plantar flex and push back up and out of there. So the cable's going to assist her. The stick is right there in front of her, but go ahead and show a lunge with that toe lift. Come back up, step on out onto it and get your foot fully up on there. Push up and back. Now, to activate her core more, what we're going to do is get the arms out in front of the body, extend the elbows. This requires her core to work a little bit harder. It still gives her the assistance with the lunge, but it makes it a little bit harder at the core, which is why we want to do this. Good. And use the core strength to make the lunge look better, not simply just the quad strength to make the lunge look better. Do a couple more there. Nice and smooth, out and back. You shouldn't pull yourself back and up with the back leg. You should push yourself up and back with the front leg. As you get better with this move, we want to lower the assistance or reduce the resistance so she's doing more of her own body weight with less help. To clean up the lunge, we use reactive neuromuscular training. Basically, with the stick, with the Kaiser, we're going to throw a torso rotation or a weight shift to the body with the stick. First, Lee's going to impose rotation on his torso while he's lunging with both the left and right leg. Look at the differences and be sure that when you're doing this, you look at the other side rotation, left and right leg, look for differences. Cleaning up those differences fixes the lunge. That's the answer to it. Start in a static position, make sure there's no rotation at all, execute a left and execute a right lunge. Look at the differences. It takes everything he's got not to rotate coming out of the lunge. That's the definition of stability, not creating rotation, but resisting rotation. It's a lot of work and you don't need a lot of resistance here. Now, we also get a lateral weight shift. It's going to be easy on one leg and somewhat difficult on the other. Remember, we're doing it both ways, both weight shifts, both legs. Thank you. Now remember, what may look like great core stability in the squat, the minute you go into a scissored stance or a lunge stance, core stability diminishes. That's the central mistake we made in core training. We thought you train the core is going to be good in all positions. You can have a sound and stable core in the lunge and a faulty one in the squat and vice versa. That's why it's very important to look at these movements prior to training. You want to train that weakest link. In many of the lectures I've done and the videos we've done in my book and even in our poster series, we often communicate proper spine stability in the lunge by using a vertical stick or a dowel. That dowel touches the back of the head, the thoracic spine, and the sacrum, and it leaves two parts of the spine untouched, your cervical spine and lumbar. That's where your hands go. When you lunge down, that sticks to say vertical at the bottom, at the top, and everywhere in the transition. Now we can load that movement, communicate to the person what's effective in a lunge, and really increase core stability while still loading the quad, working on deceleration in the lunge with the Kaiser and with the stick. We'll turn the stick vertical with the cable at the upper end. And slide your hand on down. Now Lee's going to really try to maintain contact both at the top of the stick and at the bottom of the stick. Go ahead and step out and face me. Back on up just a little bit more. And you can see he's got this true line of pull really stimulating core stability, spine extension, but stable spine. It's more important that stick stay vertical than anything else he's doing right now. Go ahead. So we're using the lunge pattern, once again, to increase core stability between the left and right leg. Look for left-right differences here, train them accordingly. Many times you can use the half kneeling chop and the half kneeling lift to test core stability for the lunge before you ever even start. This is a static lunge. If Lee starts, this is where he ends up in a lunge. And if he doesn't have static stability here, none of the lunge is going to look good. So you may have to go back and regain a lot of core stability in the static stance. What I'm going to get Lee to do in half kneeling is go ahead and execute a few chops. Now, same thing as a squat when he chopped, tall spine. We don't want to see him flex at the hip. We don't want to see this knee waver. We want to see the tall spine and execute the same upper body chop move. Now, we would switch the position for the lift. There you go. And slide out just a little bit, up and across. Now, we've gotten the leg out of the way, so we basically lift to the closed side. And if you remember, Lee chopped to the open side. That's the way we execute the chop and the lift. And once again, the real way to find a core stability problem here is execute the move both left and right, either gauge power or look at sets and reps on a standard cable column. Either way, you're going to find that core deficit. Fix that, the lunge cleans itself up. Everything we're doing with that half kneeling chop and lift is to get you to a more effective split stance or even the lunge stance. Now, we would eventually have Lee doing the chop and lift with just a split stance, but a good way to make that transition facilitate core stability is basically just to use the ball. He's going to step across the ball, pull it up between the legs, and then apply a front-back pressure to the ball. That's going to increase his core stability. He's just going to take and chop right through. So we're going to set up the chop to the open side. We're going to set up the lift to the closed side. And he's going to be bringing it up and across his body. Now this can be seen on the posters, but it's simply just a transition from the half kneeling to the split stance for chop and lift. And this basically puts the finishing touches on the lunge core stability.